Hey everyone, please support what I do to help keep Greyhawk alive by subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get early access to videos, exclusive live chats, quarterly adventure modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, I came out with a new book last weekend, and I wanted to go through it with you all, today on Greyhawk Grognard. So, as I said, last weekend at North Texas RPG Con, which was a fantastic convention, by the way. Well done, guys. I'm looking forward to going again. I had a new book arrive on the scene. It is this. Let's see if I can get it out of the sun glare. Oh, no. Yes. Adventures Dark and Deep, Swords of Wuxia. This is actually a redo of a book I came out with a few years ago called The Golden Scroll of Justice. It is a companion volume to the original Oriental Adventures, except where Oriental Adventures I thought was very Japan-focused. This one is focused on China. Think of it as Wuxia movies meets Chinese folklore. And Wuxia movies, for those who aren't in the know, are kung fu movies. The kind that I grew up watching in the 70s and to this day still enjoy. So, basically, this lets you create a campaign for old school games set in ancient mythical China. So there are new classes, new races, new spells, new magic items, new monsters. There are rules and guidelines for creating a campaign setting based on ancient China. There are complete encounter tables that take out the Eurocentric monsters and put in more Chinese appropriate creatures, so you won't have leprechauns in your mythic China campaign. I'm just going to go through a few things with you to give you an idea of what's going on. First of all, the book clocks in at 171 pages, which is kind of hefty. We've got character races. We've got humans. Eunuchs are a unique character race. Gao Ren, which are dog men, and Shanjiao, which are monkey men. We got character classes. We have... give me the page. Open the page, I say. Oh my god, this is frustrating. Okay, so we've got Wu, which are a subclass of cleric. They're shamans, basically. There are a take on barbarians, which are specific to a mythic China setting. There are not only monks, like we would normally see, but also a subclass of monk called the Wuxia. It's a weapons master. So where the monk is focused on hand-to-hand unarmed combat, the Wuxia is focused on using weapons in combat. So it gets kind of analogous powers to that you would normally see in a monk, but applied to weapons, which is a neat little thing. We have the magic user subclass, the Fang Shi, which is basically a spellcaster, just like you would see a normal magic user, and also it gives you guidelines for how to handle the other classes and subclasses, like, do druids exist in a mythic China setting? What do you do if you have a paladin character? That sort of thing. So, there are guidelines for melding this into a larger campaign setting. There are a lot. I'm not going to go through everything. It builds on the skill system that's presented in the Book of Lost Lore. So you spend XP to learn skills. There are more actual skills. There are also rules for Kung Fu. And Kung Fu, it works just that same way, where you spend XP to learn Kung Fu skills. So that means any class can actually learn a style of Kung Fu. So you could have a magic user who knows Kung Fu. There are a number of different Kung Fu styles in here. Each one is focused on a particular type of combat. And depending on how many skill levels you have learned, you get to do some things that do not need a skill check, and some that do. So let's just go through one here, the Clever Ape style. This style emphasizes studying an enemy's fighting style and adjusting one's own tactics to take advantages of weaknesses and patterns. So if you are you have one skill level in this, you don't need to make a skill check to fight if fighting unarmed versus unarmed or armed versus armed, you get a +1 to your armor class for every 2 rounds you're in combat. So if you're fighting sword against somebody, after 2 rounds, you get +1 to your armor class because you are studying their patterns and you're seeing what they're doing. And then after another 2 rounds, your armor class goes up again, and so forth and so forth. So the longer the combat goes, the more you're able to study the style of your enemy. If you decide to make a skill check, you get +1 to hit for every 2 rounds. So if you successfully make a skill check, you're after 2 rounds, you have now learned, you've studied your opponent, and you get to do that. If you have 2 skill levels, you get a +1 to your armor class per round instead of per 2 rounds. And same thing with the skill check. And if you have 3 skill levels, which actually costs a lot of XP to get that, after observing a friend fight an enemy for 2 rounds, you can shout advice to give them a +1 to their armor class. So you could actually, even if you're fighting yourself, so you could actually, if your friend is fighting over here, you're watching them as well as your own, and you can give them advice to do the same thing that you do. So for example, it's the same as you're fighting your guy, and then you shout over to your ally, hey, he swings low after thrusting, or something like that. So you're able to help your friends. And then if you do have a skill check, you can choose between doing damage to your opponent if you hit, or disarming them. So there's tons of these different skills and styles and everything that you can apply in your own game. There's obviously a lot of artwork. Another thing, Mythic China uses a 5-element system, just like in our real world China, and this book actually takes that into account. So there are new types of elementals, new types of para-elementals and quasi-elementals and so forth that will show up in a Mythic China setting that you won't necessarily see in a normal D&D setting. So I wanted to take care of that. There's all kinds of different tables and such if you want to create your own kung fu schools. There are secret society rules. There's obviously treasure, new magic items, all of which come out of Chinese folklore tales and so forth. There are new monsters, devils, ghosts figure prominently. There's hopping vampires, there's hungry ghosts, there's all kinds of good stuff. And then, of course, there are the random encounters that I mentioned at the beginning, and they are very comprehensive in terms of climate and terrain. And I should point out, for those of you who do have the Golden Scroll that this book was based on, this new book has about 30% completely new material, about 30% completely reworked material, because it takes out the OGL out of everything, and is about 30% of the original material from that first book. So just so you're aware, so you can make an informed choice. Terrain. So anyway, I will put a link to this book down below. If this sounds interesting to you, please do check it out. I would really appreciate it if you picked one up. And it's of course it's got the old orange spine just for the sake of nostalgia. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of the book if you do happen to buy it. And hope you're having a wonderful day. And I will talk to you later.